Well, beautiful people, I think that we all know now who is next for the Chechen monster, the pride of all the Muslims around the world, the pride of the UAE, our champion, Khamzat Chimaev. Who's next for the man? Well, since RDR just lost and just quit on the stool versus Brendan Allen, there is no debate anymore on who is next for Khamzat Chimaev. The man who will be fighting Chimaev for the belt will be Nassourdine Imavov, the dynamic Frenchman, you can say. But he is next, beautiful people. He is absolutely next. No question about it. And I also have an idea on when they will be fighting next. But let's talk about it. You know, who were the options for Chimaev? You had Fluffy Hernandez, RDR, and Nassourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho. Caio Borralho lost to Nassourdine Imavov. And just now, RDR lost to Brendan Allen, a late replacement after Fluffy Hernandez pulled out. So, you might think that, oh, Brendan Allen might have a chance on getting the next shot. But let me tell you, beautiful people, why Brendan Allen is not getting the next shot. Not too long ago, actually 13 months ago. 13 months ago, back in September, in Paris, France, he lost to Nassourdine Imavov. And he also lost the fight before that to Fluffy Hernandez. And since Fluffy is injured now, and Brendan Allen lost to Imavov, and Imavov just beat the man with the longest winning streak out of all of them, Caio Borralho, we know who's next. Nassourdine Imavov versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight championship of the world. And I believe the fight will be taking place in February of next year, early next year. But let's talk about it. What an unbelievable fight. You know, if you want to test Khamzat Chimaev, if you want to give him a fight, if you want to even beat him, what is the game plan? What skills do you need to be good at? Well, look no further, beautiful people, because Nassourdine Imavov is great everywhere. The man is an excellent kicker. He's an excellent puncher with unbelievable timing. He got a chin made of granite, and the man can definitely grapple his ass off. But believe it or not, Chimaev and Imavov actually trained together less than a year ago. And the rumor is Chimaev mauled him in the wrestling department. And is it a surprise, beautiful people? Definitely not. I don't think that there is a single man walking on this earth, and especially in the UFC, in the 185-pound limit, who can even compete with Khamzat Chimaev in the wrestling department. But that doesn't mean that the man is unbeatable. And even though we all love Khamzat, he's absolutely terrific. He's a monster, a Chechen monster at that. But every single man can be beaten. And when you talk about Khamzat Chimaev, if only if you want to beat the man, you gotta weather the early storm. You gotta weather the early storm. I mean, aside from catching him early with a clean shot that might knock him out, what are your chances? How can you beat the man? Well, like I said, you gotta weather the early onslaught from Chimaev. And if you can withstand the pressure of an onslaught of Chimaev early, you might be able, you just might be able to put a dent in the man, mainly because of his gas tank. I mean, Chimaev does get tired, but not because his conditioning is weak. Far from it. But purely because of his fighting style. I mean, Chimaev is all gas, no brakes. He's an absolute machine. And he definitely got the heart of a lion. And the man got power. The man can kick. The man can sprawl. The man can submit you from any position. and he can also knock you out is because the man is a switch hitter. He got power in the orthodox stance, southpaw stance, right hand, left hand, uppercuts, overhands, you name it, and the man can definitely take a shot. So, do I favor Nassourdine Imavov to beat Chimaev? Of course not. I think that Khamzat Chimaev will probably finish him early and submit him early. But if anyone, and I mean anyone, if anyone got a chance out of all the new contenders, it's Imavov, and let me tell you why. You know, when you talk about someone so special like Chimaev, why did I pick him to beat Dricus? Well, not because of the wrestling. Of course, that's a major part of my prediction, why I predicted that Chimaev will beat Dricus. But also, if you want to beat Chimaev, you gotta live a clean, disciplined lifestyle outside of camp. Basically, what I'm saying is this: you can't be a drinker, you can't be a smoker, and you can't be someone who enjoys partying. That's the bottom line. You gotta be a devout Muslim or even Christian, but you gotta be a straight edge, disciplined, hungry fighter. And Dricus wasn't that. Yes, Dricus is powerful. Yes, Dricus is talented. Yes, Dricus can fight. But Dricus drinks outside of camp. Dricus parties outside of camp. Fluffy Hernandez does the same thing. RDR does the same thing. Brandon Allen also drinks. But you know who doesn't drink? You know who doesn't smoke? You know who doesn't party? You know who is disciplined? You know who's a devout Muslim? Other than Chimaev? It's his next opponent, Nassourdine Imavov. And that is why, beautiful people, that is why I give Nassourdine Imavov a real shot and a real chance to pull off the upset. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that the man will win. I'm picking Khamzat Chimaev as of now. Maybe after I do my extensive tape study, maybe I'll change my opinion, but I'm not too sure if I can bet against Chimaev versus anyone. But, like I said, if you want to have a chance to beat Chimaev, you gotta be disciplined outside of camp. And you know, yes, we do have some exceptions. You know, people like, I'm not even gonna name any names, because even if I'm gonna say John Jones, the man is a PED user. So can we really put him in that bracket? Yes, he smokes and drinks and parties, but he's also on steroids. So the man doesn't really fit the bill, if you know what I mean. But, like I said, if anyone got a shot versus Chimaev, it has to be Imavov. Now listen, how will the fight look like if Imavov can weather the early storm? Well, he's way more accurate than Chimaev in the striking, and his angles, beautiful people, his footwork is absolutely magnificent, terrific, majestic footwork. When you talk about Nassourdine Imavov, you know, and he's also a switch hitter, just like Chimaev. He's also a switch hitter. And he does have, like I said, better footwork than Khamzat. Does he have better defense now? This is the thing, beautiful people. You know, a lot of people say that Chimaev doesn't have a good gas tank, but Imavov also tires late. So all I'm saying is this: unbelievable fight. You gotta favor Khamzat, but if anyone got a chance, it's the disciplined, fellow devout Muslim, Imavov.